What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be going over my personal 10 favorite photos from You're a Sunflower, my book that just recently came out 2 months ago around the Midwest. Book of photos all shot on film, and the best part is it's to celebrate life. My grandma passed away last year and proceeds $10,000 worth is the goal to give to Wayside Waves in my grandma's name. So at every sale of this book, money gets put away and gets given to Wayside Waves. I'm super excited to do that and can't wait to film a video about giving the money away. Can't wait for you to have your book, and a super big piece of my heart, which is the woman that I made this book for. I grew up without a father, which was, okay. But my mom and my grandma really came around me and helped develop me into the man I am. So I thought I'd celebrate her life and do something awesome. Usually when someone celebrates a passed away person's life, they make a video about them, but I had already done that, and I intentionally did that before she passed because I wanted her to know how much I appreciate and loved her. And that video will be linked down in the description. It's called A Tribute to You. It's also on my channel. You can pick up a copy of this and support what I'm doing and support the puppies at Wayside Wave that the money's going to be going towards by picking up a copy. I also have shirts, hats, pins, and all the good stuff on my website at captainmatson.com, where you can get your copy and follow along with me, because a lot of the people that purchased the book had questions about the photos, which ones were my favorite, what were the stories behind this, and that's exactly what this video is. It's me walking through 10 photos that have the biggest stories and have the most meaning to me, and what the shot is of and why I shot it. Off the bat, this is the first photo. It's a super simple picture, very open, very plain, very much what I was looking for when shooting You're a Sunflower. I had certain shots that I wanted when I was shooting this book, and this was one of those shots that I had in mind that kind of made what the Midwest is today and made it so iconic. I'm just really, really proud of this shot and the way it turned out. The grain and the way the film made it look, it made this landscape. The shot was taken in Texas, where we were driving down at 80 miles an hour, and I was looking for this shot because I knew it was the shot that I wanted in the book. And when we were driving, I kind of saw it in the distance. I was like, oh Mom, we gotta stop, we gotta take this photo. I live in California right now, so when we were taking the pictures for the book, we drove from California to Kansas and then back Kansas to California. So I kind of had both ways to kind of look for shots and see things from different angles. So I wasn't too concerned about getting all the shots because I knew I had enough time to get all the shots. And finally, actually, this was one of the last windmills we saw. And so I was super stoked to get it because we pulled over in Texas, grabbed it. Feels very Western, very much like it was out of the Old West, and that was the theme I was going for the book, so it turned out to be really nice. Okay, so this photo is a shot of 2 wheat mills, basically with a little walking path across each one on the top so that the people that are working on the wheat mill can process the wheat correctly and yada yada yada, all the technical stuff. Either way, I thought it was a really interesting thing. It almost looked like a covered bridge and you could totally flip out and die, and either way. But the main thing why I took this photo was because my mom had taken this exact photo, very similar to this one, when she was my age. And when we were here talking about this kind of landscape and when I was trying to take photos, Mom literally looked at me and she was like, I took a photo just like this, and she walked me to this spot and she was like, see, look. And I looked up and I was like, holy cow. And she was like, yeah, and it won awards, and I had it in festivals and all this stuff, and it was super cool, and she was really proud of it, and she really took a lot of honor to it. So I took this photo to recreate that photo that she took, to kind of have a piece of her in the book, because these are 2 women that kind of really defined who I am as a man and helped raise me. So I wanted to have a low-key undertone to appreciate her and to have her in my first publication. And that's this photo, is kind of honoring my mom and what she did and the creativity she allowed me to express at a young age by taking photos. Alright, this is the bread and butter of the book. This photo is the photo I have right here behind me. It's the main photo of the tour, it's the main photo of the book, it's the main photo in general. When I saw this, when I was taking the book, I instantly knew that this was going to be the main photo of the book. I mean, just the way it lays out, the way it was framed, the beautiful background behind it, I just saw it and was like, holy crap, this is Kansas. And I'm almost positive this photo was shot in Oklahoma when we were driving down the street. I remember really fastly seeing it when we just zipped past it. And I was like, holy crap, Mom, we gotta go back and take that photo. And you know, there was buildings all along the highway. But right when you got past that, there's like 3 or 4 buildings, it just opened up and became plains and farmland and all this stuff that looks so much like Kansas. So we pulled up next to it. It looked like a moving picture, to be honest with you. I was so stoked to take this photo. I mean, I shot it overexposed, underexposed, and what the meter recommended me shoot it at, just to make sure that this photo turned out correct in the way it did. And I couldn't be more proud of this picture and the way it turned out. It turned out to be incredible. The reason why I like this water tower so much is because it reminded me so much of like the Tin Man from The Wizard of Oz. And I liked the colors with the green and silver. I liked how the film made it look kind of muted. It looks really clean, and it looks kind of like it represents Kansas in a way. And with the color palette being like The Wizard of Oz, I thought it'd be a cool, low-key way to kind of add that part of Kansas history into the book. And I know that was one of my grandma's favorite movies just because it was in Kansas. It's also at a park. And the funny thing behind this photo is when I decided to take the photo, we were driving through a small town on the major highway, and I saw this coming up. I literally pulled over instantly and shot this outside of the window of the car we were driving. This photo is of a farm during sunrise. It probably was like 5 o'clock when I took this photo. I really like the barn, the whites, the red accents. And then if you look really closely, you can see the farm truck. And this is kind of like the ideal lifestyle that I kind of dream of. You know, when I was taking this journey and shooting this book and mourning my grandma, you know, the last kind of lesson I sum up that she taught me was that life isn't about, you know, the things you have. It's not about the Apple Watch. It's not about the laptop, the Off-White, the Yeezys, the shoes, the anything. It's not about any of that. It's about, you know, slowing down and enjoying life a little bit more, and, you know, pursuing your passions and what you're doing and what you're dreaming about doing. And this photo represents that to me because, you know, I dream of one day having, you know, my kids escape to a farm where we don't have electronics around us, where we can just enjoy moments together that are out of the old days, like the 80s when there wasn't cell phones and we only had landlines. And this photo represents the life I want in the future, of having a small flat, having a farm, being a farmer, having groundskeepers and whatnot, and maintaining this kind of simple lifestyle of providing. I thought it was a really cool representation of what I want in my future, so I added it to it because the sun's rising, and it was kind of like how my life was rising on the horizon. And I put them together as one photo because of the meaning behind them. You know, the photo on the left is of my grandma's house when I was shooting You're a Sunflower. It would snow some days and it would completely dry up by the afternoon. And this was in the morning when I took this, when it was snowing. And you know, if you look at this photo, you'll notice that like the blinds are down, the blinds are up in different places. Like my grandfather's study was still being used, still felt like grandma's house. It felt like nothing had changed and she hadn't passed. As you can see, her owl is still out at the front, like everything, like her gardening tools, all that kind of stuff was still there. And then to the left, you'll notice the photo that kind of more fits the vibe of the book. And I had actually, when developing the left photo, realized that I didn't take any photos that matched the book, and I was super disappointed with it at the time. So I actually flew back, took this photo of the house, and to be the photo of her house in the book. But I realized when I got it developed and looked at it that it just wasn't Grandma's house anymore. It seemed more like nobody lived there. It seemed more like empty, and her spirit, her personality wasn't there anymore. Like you can see the owl was gone, the gardening tools are gone. It's more cleaned up. They kind of show that life moves on, and like my childhood. You know, me and my mom, we moved around from Kansas, then we went to Columbus, then we went to California, and I never really had like a childhood home with her that was my home. And which is okay, I don't mind it. But you know, when Mom went to work when I was young, I would go to her Grandma's house to get babysat. So this house has a lot of childhood meaning to me and a lot of sentimental value, and I didn't realize that until it was getting sold. This photo is of a abandoned gas station that my grandma lived there. Like literally since I've been born, this thing's been here, not used, nobody wants. But it's just so cool architecturally, and for the longest time I kind of looked over it and didn't really see it as anything, because this thing is literally down the street from my grandma's house, and we would drive past it every time, and I would look at it and be like, oh, that's cool architecture. Even as a kid, I was driving to my coffee shop in the morning and I was like, wait, that fits the book perfectly. Like abandoned, rustic, old diner looking thing, gas station, whatever. And I was like, this has got to be in the book. So I parked a little bit down the street, walked over, took a bunch of photos. This one ended up in the book. This is a picture of a True Value. If you don't know what a True Value is, you're not a true Midwestern person. True Value is like a car parts place and everything kind of place. Like if you're trying to, you know, it's like a Home Depot kind of thing, but it's just Midwestern kind. And I thought it was funny that the city that we were in was Hooker, Kansas. But it looks like Hooker True Value, and I thought that was really funny. So I took this ironic photo, and this street was actually like super busy. Like it was non-stop movement on this street, but I just sat there trying to take this photo for like 15 minutes as cars were driving back and forth, and finally there's a little gap in between, and I was able to get this shot. So the liquor store that's abandoned in New Mexico, probably about like 40% of the photos in the book is from this strip and from this abandoned town that was on the main highway that would take you from California to Kansas. And we just so happenly went through this little town in New Mexico that had all these abandoned, you know, rustic, old-looking buildings with cool signs. And I really got a draw to this liquor store. It was super abandoned, the city. And we found out later on when we were at like the only gas station open that there was a robber back in the Western times that was hung in the city. And it ended up that he haunted the city, and all the businesses, all the banks, all the libraries ended up shutting down because all the businesses just couldn't sustain themselves, and they blamed it on, I think his name was like One-Eyed Mike or something like that, I don't know. But really interesting, and it was really cool, and I looked up the story later on when we were driving, and it was pretty creepy. It's like the number 3 haunted city in America. This is the dolphin song. The dolphin song. I don't know. It looks like an old bank. I actually lived in this town in Kansas. It's Gardner, Kansas. If I had my first kiss in this city, super small town, really big into high school football, and I thought I'd add this really cool old bank because I lived in this city and it has a part of my heart there. Main photo, this photo again, I'll go back to it. I actually had this photo on the front cover of the book, and on the sample book that I had printed, it was right here. But I ended up not going with it on the front cover because I wanted people to see You're a Sunflower and be like, what the frick is this thing? Like, is it a book? Is it a photo book? What is it? It's actually me telling a story about my grandma. There's words in it about, you know, my personal journey through depression, stories about my grandma, stories about me and her, what our relationship was like. And I had that main photo on the front, but I felt like it took away from the Midwestern vibe that is the front of this cover. So I decided to be like, F it, let's take it off and make it mysterious and cool design. So that's a fun fact about the main photo. Guys, thank you so much for sitting down with me and watching this video to the end. These are the 10 photos that are the most nostalgic to me from You're a Sunflower. And also, if you want to support the channel, support what I'm doing in my grandma's name, and buy a copy of You're a Sunflower, a shirt, we got some hoodies, we got some hats up there, all really high quality, but mainly this book. On the back page, I sign every single one. Some of them I write really cute notes and nice notes in. So grab your copy today. I would love for you to be able to have one of my first books. There's 500 copies available, and that's it. We're trying to make a change out here and do something really awesome. So just buying a hat, buying a shirt, buying anything like that supports what I'm trying to do, and that would mean the absolute world to me. If you've already bought a book, thank you so much for buying my book and believing in me so much to put your hard-earned money down. I definitely don't expect everyone to buy a book, but man, I sure do appreciate it. And this is only the first one of many, so if you're looking to get something from my beginnings, this would definitely be one of the most meaningful. And I think this is one of the books that will define my career as a photographer.